Hello, Jason.
Hello, Lauren. I'm so glad to be here.
I'm so glad. So glad you're glad. So we're just going to have a conversation. This time, you're in the hot seat.
Okay.
So let's see. Maybe to start this, we can talk about how we were having a great conversation earlier. I was taking some photos of you in your studio, and I guess my first question is, what were you guys working on in there?
You mean in the sculpture room?
Yeah.
We're in 3D foundations, and today we were getting finished with our knife handles. We're working on Sloyd carving knives. Slojd.
J.
Umlaut Sloyd.
Okay.
Sometimes that J gets swapped out for a Y, which is also true of maybe my middle name, Gents.
Jason Gents.
Yeah, but sometimes Jens.
Is it supposed to be Jens?
I think so. Danish. And Sloyd also is a Scandinavian heritage, Scandinavian woodworking tradition. So students order a knife blank. So it's a blade that has a tang on it, a long piece of metal. It's all one piece. And then they've been fashioning their wood handles to fit their hands, drill a hole, carve surface detail into it, and mount that blade, and then they can use that knife. So we make the tool that we make other things with. We'll be making leather cases for the knives, and then in the near future, I'm hoping that we're making leather mittens.
With those tools?
Yeah, we'll use the knives to cut, and then we're going to do some leather stitching. Yeah, little by little, the idea is to walk students through different tools and materials, methods and materials, and just, I hope overall, help you feel like you can manipulate matter in different ways. You don't just have to take it as it is.
And is that assignment a you thing, or did you do that in school at some point and you passed that along?
I've never done it.
You've never done it?
I mean, I did a demo last year for the first time. I found a good book on it, and Sloyd in general is an interesting field or concept that I've become aware of. Traditionally, it's like kindergartners with saws. And I'm finding more and more that college students have never used a screwdriver. I need to fix that. I need to transform some lives and just let people know that you can learn this stuff.
Yeah, I think that's really important. So I want to talk I want to talk about what I saw on your desk, which I took a picture of on my camera, but I don't have it on my phone. There's a book open to a page that says something about the open door, a studio with an open door. What is it? What does it say?
Yeah, that happens to be a Albrecht Dürer book, and I haven't read that, but I know the headline that you're talking about, or the chapter heading. So that's about the German artist Albrecht Dürer, and I assume it's about the way that people would sort of frequent his studio.
Is that what you want people to feel towards your studio?
I think so. It sure happens a lot. I'm doing work, and then somebody comes in, and then another person comes in, and we're talking, and I'm still doing work. I think that's pretty great. I think when I was younger, I might have been annoyed to be distracted. But I think if you change your mind, you can change your world. and I changed my mind about that. Being distracted can be really the gift that you're given. You didn't expect. You didn't expect your day to have this, or you didn't expect this interaction to happen. And instead of being mad that like you're not getting to the plan that you thought you were supposed to do, you just allow things to happen and serve in that moment.
When do you think that development started to happen?
For me?
Yeah.
Well, I think 2 years ago, Andy Overin and Pete Bladel still laugh about what I started to say back then. I had a kind of a bunch of realizations that I think my primary value here at Bethany isn't necessarily about being a good teacher. There are other art teachers, maybe more convenient art teachers who are more compliant, something like that. But the reason to hire me is reputation, portfolio, professional experience. And so, one of the realizations from a couple years ago was, boy, they could find another art teacher, but if I let my portfolio sort of atrophy, if I let my professional skills go bad and I'm not making work, that's sort of, everybody loses in that circumstance. I die on the inside, and the school loses this thing that, they sort of took a chance on. Yeah. So I decide to sculpt, and then, like, if you're going to meet with me, I'll probably be sculpting. But that works out. Those things can go together.
When you were noticing that you were changing your thought process or attitude, is there any part of you that finds that you can actually think more or process what you're talking about more when you're sculpting?
Mm-hmm.
Do they go hand in hand? Or
I don't know if that... I've been thinking about this in the last week, that I don't have to try so hard anymore at sculpting. Anatomy, like bones and muscles, are just sort of happening. I watch it sort of form. It's coming out of my hands. And drapery logic, I'm still catching up on that, but it's not as hard as it used to be. And just like constructing a beautiful sort of surface, and I think I'm pushing 50, and maybe I've done this enough decades that I've kind of earned an ease. The skill has grown enough that I've got now mental space to do those things while people are in the room, and I'm even having conversations or listening or paying attention to them while I'm simultaneously doing what's actually pretty high-level creative work. But
you're telling me you're not even thinking about it.
I can do it.
Yeah.
Lately. Attitude, you're asking about the attitude,
mm-hmm.
but I think that's definitely a factor. I think that's a massive thing to think about for everybody. The way that you approach a circumstance affects the circumstance.
That reminds me of the study about the plants, where I was talking about this with someone about talking positively to yourself.
Yeah.
It just reminds me of that, of the plant that was not watered with positivity, suffered, or just didn't perform as well as the one that...
I remember this. This is wild, that two different groups of plants, and the people who tend them speak kindly to them and say nice things to them as they're watering them, and then the others kind of demean them and say bad things, and there's an actual physical difference in the outcome of the plant.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that is hard for us to understand, and maybe really easy for us to understand.
Yeah. Like, it makes a lot of sense.
In one way.
I guess in the way of, like, I mean, some people might look at it and be like, does it make sense to talk to a plant? Maybe not. But there's some positive consequences there, or I guess negative ones too. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I have to think about myself as a plant.
Say more.
Like, if I want to, flourish, blossom, sometimes it takes just being a little bit kinder, being a little bit more positive.
I've been thinking about that too. So what you're getting at is like the metaphors that we tell ourselves, or the ways that we regard ourselves. You say I have to think about myself as a plant. I think it's pretty common for people to think about themselves as a machine.
Say more.
Well, like a computer, right? I'm just calculating. Or, maybe I'm part of a factory. I'm productive. Things like that. But when you say I have to think about myself as a plant, that implies a different kind of care. The way that you take care of a machine or a factory is that you just you keep it maintained. You swap out the parts as needed. You give it like the fluid levels and parts and everything, But the intention there is for it to just keep going, not stop. So a factory will have a first shift, second shift, third shift in order to be absolutely productive. A plant needs a different thing. A plant needs whatever it needs. A certain amount of light, a certain amount of water, certain kind of nutrients in the soil, temperature, and that's just true. It won't work if it's not given the right kinds of circumstances. So you can't transplant, you can't swap out the parts or, fill the fluids or whatever. A plant is a plant. It has certain nature and needs. And I think...
Yeah, you can't replace its leaves.
Yeah. The consequences are real. But on the other side, the fruit is exponential. A factory makes a product.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's going first shift, second shift, third shift, really making a lot of products. What do those products do? They go out and they get sold and then live their life and then end up in the landfill.
Yeah, they serve their purpose.
And then they're
for
done.
A time.
And they need to be replaced.
Mm-hmm.
And you might say that's true about a plant too, except that plants make more plants. A plant makes seeds, which might make more plants, which might make who knows how many more seeds that might make more plants. That metaphor is healthier, and it goes back to God. God invented plants. Humans invented machines.
Mm.
So when you talk about yourself as a plant, I think that's the way God designed us. Plants need dormancy. They don't produce all year long.
Mm-hmm.
They make fruit and flowers at certain times when it's time to have a big push.
When they need to breathe.
There's a lot of rest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's kind of like when you're thinking about the seeds and making more. I kind of feel like you're also a plant as a professor.
People tell me that a lot.
That you're a plant?
Yeah.
Really?
No.
But that you plant a lot of seeds, so you're kind of a gardener, but also you're producing seeds too, I think.
Students, I influence students, and then they influence other people and make artwork. They make artwork. Artwork makes influence.
Mm-hmm. I was talking to Ben the other day about it was art versus craft. That's what it was. And I was asking him what's the line between the two. And I want to know what your line is.
The best explanation I've had was from a ceramics professor, and ceramics straddles that line. So this was a ceramics sculpture class that I was in, and the guy who taught it also taught a pottery class. So those are two sides of the fence with the same material. You're using clay, you're firing it, you're adding glaze, but one is art and one is craft.
Mm-hmm.
The material is not the determining factor. The process isn't really even the determining factor. I think in philosophy we would call it the telos, the purpose. What is its purpose? And what I learned from this professor was that art's only purpose is to be contemplated. It's built for someone to pay attention and to just consider. That's all it does. Now, anytime that that object starts to become a pencil holder or a diagram that illustrates a concept, anytime it serves some sort of a practicality, a function, I think you cross away from art into something, maybe craft, maybe illustration. In a 2D sense, that line is also an illustration versus fine art.
Mm-hmm. I suppose because illustration serves a function.
That's right. Illustration serves a text, almost always.
Mm-hmm.
The ideas come from an author. A lot of times in a book, an illustrated book, the author and the artist never meet. Almost always.
Is it the illustrator's interpretation?
Yep. Illustrator comes second. Text comes first.
So, author writes, then do they find someone who they trust?
It's out of their hands. They find a publisher that believes in their story. Then the publisher works on making a book that they can sell, and so they find an illustrator that they think works with this. And the author might have often has nothing to do with the illustrations.
That is not how I thought that would go.
I'm
thinking about Maida's book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Maida's capstone project, her illustrated book about the days of creation. That was not the way it usually works.
Mm-hmm.
Every now and then you find an illustrator who's sort of broken through that system. There are illustrators that we all admire that have enough credibility to have proven themselves that they have the stories in them too. But I think the norm is that they're separated. So I think Maida aspires to be both, to make books that she has creative control over.
Total creative control.
Yeah. She's a good writer. Beautiful writer.
Are you a good writer?
You're trying to keep us on track.
Not necessarily, but
I've been told that. I think so. I don't think of myself as a writer, but I have written. For example, I was doing blog posts for decades, and a lot of that was about revealing my process, trying to teach teach my readers about how I think and make decisions. And I think I have a way of crafting words. It's not really often in my attention as like I don't identify myself as being a writer or a good writer. But if I think about it, I think I do all right there.
Do you think you write how you speak? Because you're pretty good at crafting words that you say, too. Audibly.
Well, writing is a lot more about revision for me. So the title will come last. You know, like I don't know what it's called until I finish the thing. And I'll rearrange paragraphs or check, you know, does this flow make sense? Whatever. I'll be much more deliberate in releasing my thoughts in printed form or typed form. I'm pretty off the cuff speaking. It's more like improv.
I guess. Any conversation is, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that scares some people. You got to be really present. Think on your feet.
I think that's why I was like nervous the first time to come on your podcast, because I didn't know what I was going to say. But you did that on purpose.
A little bit. Yeah, I withhold information just enough for the guests because I'm not that interested in prepared remarks. You know, and I'm not trying to embarrass people or catch them off guard. That's also not what's happening. I know that there's something in between that
authenticity.
Yeah. If I can make people comfortable and give them assurances that it's going to be okay and that we don't need you to be brilliant.
Right.
We just need you to be here with us. I generally believe that people will reveal themselves to be brilliant. Everybody goes through life thinking, paying attention. They're paying attention to something. Even when we think that we label them as a daydreamer or somebody whose head is somewhere else. Well, where is it?
Somewhere.
Let's go there. And why? What's the fascination? I think people are universes. Nora taught me to say they're bigger on the inside.
Yeah.
So what was it like to be a guest?
Delightful. I think going in at the start, just a little bit nervous. I didn't know anyone very well at the table. But I was confident in one thing, and I like talking. I like having conversations with people. So that is immediately a reason to be put at ease. It was, honestly, I feel like, not to sound like cliche, but like it kind of did feel like a therapy session in a little bit because I feel like I was learning a lot of things about myself that I had not necessarily thought about before. And so it was just a process, like a lot of learning. It was an experience. It was an experience. And a good one. I feel like there's a lot of adjectives that you can put around it, but I realized too that I hadn't had a lot of conversations like that. Period. Just talking for the sake of talking and getting to know each other. And by doing, you had some questions, but it wasn't like you had no idea where it was going to go necessarily. And we didn't really either.
I have a rough outline. I have a direction that I point it, and I'm fairly confident that we'll end up, point A to point B when we walk in. There's certain things that I want a person to be in the room for. Okay. So, for example, the casting of your episode, it was you and Silas as our guests, and we wanted you were both chosen because of the topic of transferring in and out of Bethany and the deliberation of that. What's it like to make a choice? So I knew that was coming.
I suppose.
Beyond that, like how we get there and what we talk about.
That's what I mean.
Long leash.
Yeah. And like the connections that we were making in our own lives or each other's. Like, that's just not a conversation that I have normally. It was great. A couple of people have told me that they listened to it and that they appreciated it, which makes me feel good that people got something from it. But I think ultimately I got the most out of it.
Sure.
Yeah, or all of us at the table.
Well, I hope, I kind of preach this idea that you should look for ways to be ministerial with your gifts, that you can, if you're good at something, you can like be generous with it, philanthropic with your gifts. And the podcast has become this really interesting forum for being able to help the people at the table, like pay attention to them in ways that is unusual, like you're saying.
Yeah.
But then it's captured and broadcast, and, there's some compromise. Like right now, you and I are having this talk, and you can feel as well as I can that it's not the same as talking in my office. There's this added sort of level of like guardedness or whatever with the microphones. However, what we do capture and broadcast, I think is also philanthropic to the earbuds, to the people listening, to you out there.
Well, and I think we talked about this too. I don't remember if we got it on the podcast or because we chatted for like 45 more minutes after we stopped. But, oh shoot, where was I going? I fear I lost my thought.
I fear you haven't.
It's somewhere, Jason. It's somewhere.
Philanthropy. Ministerial.
It might come back.
Yep.
It was a good one too.
I know it is.
Dang it.
It'll come back.
That was like the most time I've spent in your office earlier.
Just now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm probably, I think today is the most that I've ever chatted with you. It's been a good chat. I'd like to get to know you more, though. I'm going to stay. Well, wait. I was close. Nope. I lost it again.
It's like a little bird flapping around the room.
Yeah, for real. I'm like just trying to catch it. Okay. What does your wife do? You never told me.
Okay. My wife is a head manager at the Treasure House, which is a thrift shop in New Ulm. And that is a delightful surprise in her life. She has a degree from Martin Luther College for elementary education. And she's been a teacher, middle grades teacher in a lot of different places. And, a great mother and wife. And, over the years, there's been this sort of back and forth about whether she should use her degree or be at home. Women have this thing that guys kind of maybe don't have to wrestle with, and guys have things that women don't have to wrestle with. But the instinct to be a mother and take care of the family she went back and forth for years about whether she should teach and have like the financial benefit, contribute financially, or be at home for our kids. And I've always kind of authorized whatever direction she really felt at the moment. And then she at some point started working at the Treasure House and gradually sort of became the head manager, and she is so delighted to be there, to do that. It's chaos because you get all kinds of different characters and donations, like weird donations come in and you never know what's going to be coming in, and your inventory is constantly just cycling and doing, you have different things that you don't really predict. You don't order your inventory, it just comes. Different crews are there every day, and she really delights in her co-managers and the different crews of volunteers that come in from congregations. They cycle in and you got different people every day. And I love that story. I love that we're dealing with college-age people all the time here and their expectations about their future. And, I don't think head manager at the Treasure House is on anybody's radar for like the dream job. When you're at a college fair, you're trying to figure out your degree or something like that. And she found it, and she loves it so much. And that story is like, you can't predict. You don't know what God has in store for you.
I think that goes back to not being limited to what we were talking about, not being limited to small towns or small communities.
You were referring to Bill Bukowski's Mankato comments.
Yeah.
Why don't you fill that in for our listeners?
Jason and I were talking a little bit earlier about a lot of things, but something that I remembered as I've been talking since I've come home from Italy was the idea that there's a lot here. And in Bill Bukowski's art lecture, he talked about how he never felt that he was limited by being at Bethany, by living in Mankato. And it's what you make it, is what he said. It's as great as you make it.
And that's been on your mind.
Yeah, it sure has. And your wife loves working at a thrift store.
Yeah.
And it's as great as she makes it, and it sounds great.
Yeah. And that's honestly the way I've been feeling about Bethany too. It's just so good. It's just so good.
Attitude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the thing is the thing. Mm-hmm. Whatever it is, your circumstance, your location, the people. But your attitude about them it shapes your experience.
It really does. Sometimes I have to, or I guess what's been coming to my head a lot more too recently is count your blessings. I'm trying to count my blessings, and I think that's helping me change my attitude.
Literally counting?
Maybe listing. Maybe.
So do you write them down?
No, I tend to just, I live in my head a little bit. And when I say a little bit, I mean a lot of it. But where do you live in your head? Because I feel like there's a lot going on up there.
Yeah, I think so. I think I do live in my head. I drive from New Ulm, and that windshield time becomes some pretty good just alone contemplation time. I think about, on the way home, I think about what happened in the day.
Conversations you've had.
Maybe, yeah. Or actually, I think I'm in my head more in terms of concepts. I'm always turning over a concept or two or three. I've got a little notebook that every now and then something leaks out, like has to make it on the page. But I'm always...
Hope you're not doing that when you're driving.
Not often. But sometimes it's urgent.
I suppose.
And I can always tell by the penmanship, like, oh.
Whoops.
And it's always like, okay, how can I get this down to 2 words?
Yeah. Well, you gotta get it out.
That's absolutely true. So I do have a lot going on in my head, and occasionally it's like pressure. Like, for example, lately I've been pumping out sculptures, and there's so much more that I don't get done. The amount that never sees the light of day so outnumbers the things that we see. I've got some visualizations on my office door, and it's like this tournament of ideas that some actually make it that far for me to actually make some sort of a visualization, and then some make it past that stage to become a scale model or something, and then occasionally something hits the jackpot and gets a commission and becomes real. I don't run out of ideas. Like, that is not the problem.
They're always cooking.
Every day I sit in chapel, I redesign it.
Huh.
And
a pre-existing idea, or?
I redesign the chapel.
Oh, I see.
Like, I've got a project that, like, and this is not me not paying attention. Right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's capacity. So I'm listening, but I'm also like, what if we had capitals on those columns? I'll bet we could do like a lattice work of grapevines up in the rafters with laser cut steel. That wouldn't be that hard. And I've got like mounting systems in mind. I've got all the production. I've got the powder coating, and then like candidates, like who does this, And by the time I walk out, I got it. Guys, I got it. And it would be beautiful. And stuff like that just never makes it, into even a visualization, because the day goes on.
The day goes on, but you're reminded of it every time you go to chapel.
Well, I'm making a new one every time I go to chapel.
A whole new one every time. That's like a playground.
It is. All of campus. Like, I want to get this on air. I develop beauty around campus that nobody ever sees and will never see. Because like the execution of it, there's all kinds of friction. Not willfully, but just life is like that. Mm-hmm. It's hard to get anything done.
So you move on to other ones, more practical projects.
Just other ones.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm obsessed with this Mary Martha concept.
It's been great.
Thank you. I think so too. But that's not practical.
I suppose.
Nobody's asking for it.
It's very autotelic of you.
Autotelic. What does that mean? I know, but I want you to say it.
It's doing something for the sake of doing it. Enjoying something for the sake of doing it. There's no purpose other than the enjoyment of doing it.
Yeah. You learned that from creativity class.
Sure did.
Yeah. Sit in on that class sometimes. I'm so impressed. I think it's such a great addition to our campus culture.
Yeah, you got out the notepad. Let's see, what do you got on this thing? Is this the most recent one?
Current. So partially used.
May I?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I shouldn't have asked permission. What did you say? Just never ask for permission?
I don't think I said that.
You said something like that. Is this chapel stuff?
No. No, that's on your mind because I said it.
Chapel.
Right. You know, so I renovate everything.
Right.
That's just an example. And the notebook isn't just projects. You're asking, am I in my head? The notebook is kind of like the things that bubble to the surface regarding concepts. And when I'm thinking about concepts and putting them in the notebooks, it's like, what does the world need right now?
Mm. Do you ever ask that question to people and then get ideas off of that? What do you need right now? What do you think the world needs right now?
Nope. I don't.
Maybe you should.
I've said this a few times. I think that people might remember, but my most common prayer is to be what's needed. And it's vague enough that God fills it in very interesting ways.
And you see it being answered.
All day long.
Yeah.
All day long in surprising ways. And it's just a great ride.
Claire Marcus is a poet.
Definitely. I've been telling her that. Why do you say that?
Well, we've been having some more conversations recently. And I think we've talked a little bit about how she's maybe I feel like we've talked about how she doesn't necessarily often put that word out, like that she is a poet. Mm-hmm. But she is a poet. And I think we were having this conversation. It was a group of us that were working on the Tyler Passbrigg Mason and Colton's capstone. And we were talking about how we listen to music. And I realized I listen to music very differently than a lot of people. But Claire, she's focused on the words, and that makes sense. I don't really focus on the words too much.
Yeah, sometimes the words are just like another instrument.
Yeah. Yeah. I often just, it's how the music as a whole makes me feel versus the words. But Claire, she knows how to use words. I was thinking about how she was pointing Martha to the light, or Mary to the light.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys kind of disagreed about which direction should the sculpture face regarding the light. You had different reasons for that.
Yeah. In a poetic sense, in a metaphorical sense, she belonged facing the light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were thinking about formal elements or the way the form is revealed.
And how the light should...
Like a photographer.
Glaze, yeah.
Yeah.
Graze across her face.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes I look at paintings with people and they see the subject matter and I see the paint.
The physical paint?
Yeah. I'm looking at the material, the palette, the application, the thickness, and I barely even know what the subject is because that's not my attention.
Like you're looking at the technical elements?
Kind of.
Okay.
It's like I'm remembering making it, even if it's not mine. You know?
Yeah.
Part of what I love about looking at artwork is it's like I make eye contact with somebody from centuries ago. Like, they looked at this for a long time, and they shaped it very carefully to be like this. They loved this thing. They loved this thing. Crafted it.
A lot of care.
A lot of care. Just
a lot
like
of consideration.
Packed into that object.
Mm-hmm.
And then it endures. It's a time machine.
It really is. Do you think there's any part of them that knew that their work was timeless? or they had weight on that.
Mm-hmm.
They put weight on it when they were making it.
Well, we're talking about a very broad field.
I suppose.
They is a big word.
They is a big word.
But I think about that. And I think that's the kind of a big part of the Western tradition. We call it the Great Conversation.
Mm.
This continuity that goes back to ancient Greece of people considering what's it mean to be a human and other big questions. What is the nature of reality and how should we live? Well, for that conversation to be a great conversation, things should engage future civilizations or future generations and past generations, past civilizations, engage that too.
Mm.
So I guarantee that past artists were thinking about their place in the lineage, and I also am. I talk a lot about making Christian artwork that preaches to unborn generations.
Making specifically Christian artwork?
In my case, yes.
Yeah. I think it's doing a service.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You get one go around here.
You like to serve others.
Well, what are the options?
I suppose.
I think the magisterial approach, like insisting that I'm so great and y'all should feed me somehow. That's an appetite. And I think it's an appetite that never gets satisfied. It just remains appetite. You want more and more and more.
No satisfaction.
No satisfaction.
No fullness.
Yeah. And then the service thing, and this is it's so backwards. The service thing where you're just like giving it away. So satisfying. Philanthropy is oddly satisfying. Appreciation, generosity. I think God designs things this way. It's the gospel, you know? Like it's the foolishness to man. You would think that to be satisfied, you should satisfy your appetite. And a lot of people live their lives fooled. They don't get it the whole time. But I was blessed to have great Christian guidance throughout life at home and in schools and community members. And I don't think I've really understood the ramification of that bubble, the way that has prepared me. So it's dawning on me that I've been prepared for this. And I can say things like I just said, that kind of, offhanded way that I just said, yeah, you be philanthropic with your life. It's not obvious to everyone, but I know. Well, I'm confident. I'm confident in this approach.
Yeah. I think that's good.
What are you finding in the notebook?
I keep going to this page. It says, he the candle, she the cave, he the ship, she the ocean.
Yeah. So this is a very recent and deep consideration about the way God designed the world and theology. I think men and women have different tendencies and operate with different sort of base paradigms. And this probably comes off as a hot take nowadays, but the fact is that God, we talk about this all the time with creation, with regards to the way that God created the universe and it's all its great expanse and all the way down to tiny microscopic elements. We point to God's design all the time, and then in Christianity, somehow when we're talking about sexuality, the rules change, and we just close the curtains and don't really think about it, don't talk about it, probably to avoid teen pregnancies. There's a crowd control aspect, I think, to the way that we handle this stuff. But I do think that God does things on purpose. God designed men and women in different ways, anatomically, but also psychologically. Really.
Yeah.
I think men are built for risk and women are built for security. And when you put them together, you got you got accelerator and brakes, and you can go somewhere safely. If you got all accelerator, that could be really bad. And if you got all brakes, that could be really bad.
Yeah.
Right?
One, you don't go anywhere, and the other, you crash.
Yeah. Good one, God. Nice system.
Yeah.
There's a tension in it, kind of an argument, a constant argument about the way things should operate and go, but then they operate and go.
Yeah.
So, the really uncomfortable thing is the way that the sexual organs are designed.
Mm-hmm.
That's where everybody's going to blush. But God designed this, and my brain, just wonders if there's a psychological kind of connection there, right? So I don't know how far to go into this concept. I don't quite have all my rhetoric together on it, but
it's worth thinking more about. That's for sure.
Well,
a lot of things are.
Yeah, I guess.
This notebook is very fun. I see you have in here a recipe.
Mm-hmm.
This is from Claire.
That's right. Claire handed me this note card one day, and no other reason. I'm just I think it's significant that she handwrote this thing, and then it's significant that it just came to me, and I thought, I'm just going to keep that around, see what that's about. Claire Wooler.
A big word that's been popping up in my head recently is legacy. Mm-hmm. And I think that might be because I'm in capstone right now, or I started capstone. But I think it can apply to kind of everything, because you got a lot of different things going on in here.
Well, remember, it's an audio format, so they have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, so I'm looking at Jason's notebook, and
which is only about a quarter full. There's not that much in there.
But I
fill these things.
There's, one, lots of words. 2, there's dimensions and sketches and blueprints. There's taped chapel bulletins.
That one's great. It's things get in there for reasons, right? There's an editing process to a tournament to get into the notebook. Mm. That's a Klebig sermon. You see the notes there? The
notes that you've written here?
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know if I can read them.
Well, look at the fuzzy one. I know there's one that's almost erased right at the crease.
Ah, yes. There?
Yeah, what's it say?
Supernatural and natural realities. Am I looking at the right one?
Yeah, what's it say before that?
The inability to avoid sinning.
Yeah.
And the supernatural and natural realities. I think. Maybe you should read yours.
Is the meeting, the inability to avoid sinning, is the meeting of supernatural and natural realities. He said that from the pulpit, and I thought, what? Quick, write that down.
And you did. Have you come back to it since?
Yeah, over and over. I think this is really hard for Christians, especially those who have kind of been affected by the evangelical purity culture, which, kind of presumes like, be perfect. And if you're not, then you're not trying hard enough. Try harder. But we remain sinners by nature, right? It's not that we do sins. We are sin. We inherit it. It's part of our identity. But it's not the only part of our identity, right? So in that statement, there's that natural aspect of us. And then, the forgiveness is this supernatural swooping in, where God, the Holy Spirit, dwells in us, actually kind of possesses us. Like there's another nature, an alien nature there that's in us. Supernatural and natural dwell in us simultaneously. I like the saying that we are spirits having a bodily experience. Spiritual beings having a bodily experience.
Did you come up with that?
What?
Or is that just a saying out there?
That's a saying out there.
I see. This notebook are words and ideas that came from your brain, but they also came from other people, and they impacted you enough to write them down. And that's kind of what legacy is, right? Like the impact, what's left behind by other people's words. I'm looking at Claire Waller's recipe, and she talked about there was something special about her grandmother's handwriting, her grandmother had handwritten all of her recipes. I don't know, I just think there's something special about the things that are left behind. And I think the impact is what matters. You were talking about what gets forgotten in professional practices. We were talking about monuments.
Keep going. Help me.
So we were talking about the Vietnam monument. Yeah. And you were talking about how eventually those names go unrecognized.
Yeah.
And not remembered.
Do you want me to fill our hearers in on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a very interesting article about how different ways to approach making a memorial. This was post 9/11, and there was a lot of talk about what should be done in New York City. How do we memorialize this event properly? And this was kind of a study in, well, how have people handled this throughout history? And one way that we saw in 9/11 memorials is to list the names. And it's sort of like the protest chant, say their name. You know, like make them exist, make them continue through their name. Let's make this name not end. So we carve it in stone in some way, or we hang it up, or we project it. We find some way for it to continue in our attention. So an example of that is the Vietnam Memorial. Vietnam was a huge gash of trauma in American culture. And Maya Lin was a college student. I think she was 21 when she designed the Vietnam Memorial. It was a contest. And she was an architecture student in college and entered the contest with this concept and won. And then they made it. And her idea was basically a granite spreadsheet. Really, it's an alphabetical listing of people who have died, and you have this, in the conflict, and you have this black, glossy granite, which has a mirror effect. So you see the name, and then you see yourself. And then there's this implied relationship, I think, between those who are here and those who aren't. And maybe you get to be here because they're not. All implied. In New Ulm, where I'm from, there was a big conflict in the 1860s. Dakota conflict, which was a horrific war zone. A lot of people lost their lives, and we have monuments with lists of names. But very, very few people today know those names anymore. There's the occasional family that, you know, can trace their heritage and has an interest in that genealogy, but the list of names approach is immediately powerful. In the immediate memory of 9/11 or Vietnam or the Dakota conflict, if you know the person behind that name, and you see that immortalized, memorialized, it's powerful. As time goes on, that power diminishes. The significance diminishes. And now, you contrast that with something like the new World War I memorial by Sabin Howard. World War I is over 100 years in our past, and we're finally putting a memorial up for it. It's wild to me that one took so long. Well, we're so far away from that the names don't really call to us in the ways that a more contemporary event calls to us. And so his approach is a more universal kind of everyman hero's journey kind of tale told in sculptural form. And I'm convinced that in 10 years, when this thing is seeped into American consciousness, it will be everybody's favorite Washington D.C. memorial. People just haven't seen it enough yet, but this one is the best. And it will have enduring power, though it's not about anybody in particular. It doesn't have the specifics that a name has. It has the universals of the human experience. We watch this guy leave home, join the battle. We see the horrors, both physically and psychologically, of these kinds of things, and then he limps home and returns to his wife and daughter. That will remain powerful.
No one will look at that and not they recognize what's happening, I suppose, by looking at it. I think if you look at a list of names, well, you know what you're going to when I think you go to see the Vietnam Memorial, but you're not seeing.
How many generations is your thing for?
Do you think about that when you make your art? It's lasting through time.
For me. That's a big deal for me.
Is that why you make it?
I think so. I don't make it exclusively for the future. Mm. I need it to work today. I need to be of service to the people, even who are seeing it being made. That's a kind of a secret, hidden thing that's happening. The people before it gets cast in bronze have this...
See the process?
Yeah, and participate in some way. Mm. That's a special gift that future generations don't get. But generations are definitely on my mind. Mm. I've done some video work. I did work with Koine a whole year as a motion graphics artist. And, that is powerful. For this moment, it can be all-encompassing and powerful. Like for this 3 minutes, you're not thinking about anything else. But I wonder what happens when electricity goes away. Mm. I wonder what happens when the platform that it's published on goes bankrupt. Already, like recently I had a lot of my stuff on Dropbox, and then the subscription expired, and I thought I downloaded it to my external hard drive, but now when I try to access the files, it wants a Dropbox login. Hmm. And I'm sure that can be figured out, but the idea of file storage keeps on moving. The papers that I typed in high school are on 3.5-inch floppy disks, and I will never see them again because you can't read them.
That's a risk.
Yeah. I just wonder how archaeology is going to work for a time. Mm.
Probably a lot of unretrievable history.
We might be the Dark Ages.
I suppose.
Like the 20th century and the 21st century might be completely gone to history because of computers.
I suppose. I'm thinking about I'm just thinking about when I was younger, when I was playing, if I played a game, I could play it on a computer, and then when I tried to play it when I was older, for like nostalgic purposes, they're like, oh, this computer can't support this.
Yeah, Flash disappeared.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Man, I didn't even think about that.
This stuff that is so present just isn't always.
Have you always had this mentality, or is that something that developed?
When I went to college, after Bethany, I went to MSU, and I had gotten this idea that I want to carve marble. I think Bill Bukowski got me really sort of focused on Michelangelo from a young age. And Michelangelo was a painter and a stone carver and a poet and an architect and a songwriter, and he could do everything. And stone carving was this frontier for me. So, I just I went for that, but then everything like it, everything old, everything tactile, bronze casting, old printmaking methods like copper etching, woodblock printing. And part of my logic was that sort of post-apocalyptic thought, y'all, when it all goes down, I can still grab a chisel and there's stones everywhere.
I like that.
I do too. And then, right after that, after graduating, I got a job teaching high school, and I had to teach Photoshop. And so I had to quick learn Photoshop, and I was fascinated by it, but I never gave it credence in college, didn't really learn it. And so catching up. And like I said, I've done motion graphics. I know After Effects and Premiere Pro, etc. It's not that I'm anti-computer. That's definitely not the case. But I do think about centuries.
It's really fun to see. Well, now that I have yet to take a Stephanie class. And I haven't taken a class from you, but I've gotten to know you. It's really fun to see all the, different, but there's similarities in your guys' philosophies as teachers. But learning from you and Pete.
Denise,
thank you. And Andy and Ben and Stephanie. Yeah, I think it's really nice to hear everyone's perspective. Denise is one I got to get to know more. I've had class with her. But I got to get to know her more.
At the time of recording, we're 1 day away from releasing her podcast episode.
She told me about that. You did one.
It comes out tomorrow. I didn't. It was just Nora.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I like being surprised. I don't listen to these things before they're released. So if I'm in it, it's a review. I'm hearing it for the first time as everybody else. But if I'm not in it, like we've had some episodes where I'm not in it, it's just so delightful to hear this. So I'm excited about Denise's episode.
Yeah, she I told her I'd gotten a pin. The Whistle the Face pin.
Oh.
She was like, I didn't get a pin.
Oh, I got to get her one. That's probably true. Because I wasn't there. I always pack my pockets for guests.
That's why, maybe, yeah.
I wasn't there.
Yeah.
I would have if I were in the room. I'll get her one.
Yeah,
it's coming, Denise.
She needs a pin.
By the time you hear this, I hope you have it.
She needs a pin.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and professional practices is fun too, because I'm taking that now as a senior, which is a little goofy and not the plan.
You cycle through the teachers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Learning from all of you.
And I need us not to have allegiances. It's not like one's better than the other, or I always do what this person says. I think it's more powerful to be open to different, maybe even opposing viewpoints. And just, this is the liberal arts. You the student are authorized to be influenced in a variety of ways and synthesize it within yourself. You put all the stuff together. You're the blender. You put all the stuff together, and then you get what you get.
Yeah.
It's different than what everybody else gets, because you're a factor too. Your filter is a factor in what you get out of it. Could be the same classroom, and you're getting different things.
Mm-hmm. Time for dinner.
Pretty soon. I'm going to Mary Poppins tonight. Right.
I did go see it, and it was very good.
Yeah. That's what theater does here.
It's special. When Pete was talking about set designs, that's just something I didn't even think about. But there is a lot that goes into that.
Yeah. Yeah, right. It's pretty easy to take things for granted. Lean into what's behind this. How did this get here?
Mm-hmm.
Who's responsible for this? You got ideas, and then you got execution. Just so much care going on.
So much care. And that makes me think, too, about, now that Denise is on my mind, her legacy stuff. She, grew up on a farm, and that's in her roots. And she's documenting that for them for generations ahead.
Yeah, I think the lesson there is you can find purpose in your roots.
Mm-hmm.
And it might not be so pretty back there. You might have some ugly stuff in your home life or whatever, but still, it might be there on purpose.
Yeah.
I think even through difficulty, God equips us for very specific tasks. struggle and pain, and difficulty and hardship might be really, really useful.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry for all of the hurt that everybody ever has. I don't want you to have that. But I think it is redeemable. You can flip that into means of service.
Mm-hmm.
Because somebody else is going through it. And now you've got a new credibility. If you went through something similar, you can sit by somebody and actually say, I know what you're feeling.
Yeah. To be understood.
To be understood.
There's a lot of power just in that, I think.
Yeah.
Well, Jason, thank you for this. Thank you for today. We've been chatting since, like, you let me barge in on your class. Well, not quite barge in, but.
Yeah, that happens. That happens, and that's what I'm talking about. You never know what a day is going to bring, and that used to frustrate me, and now I'm delighted. The surprises and the things that keep me from my work are my work.
Yeah.
So, turns out this is a big part of what today was about. Didn't know it.
Suppose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, attitude. Lots of lessons learned today. It'll stand the test of time. All right, Jason, thank you.